Over the past couple of weeks while I've been making videos, I've been mentioning every now and again books that I want to reread, and I suddenly realised the other day that my reread list is getting huge. So this year I have pinned it down to a slightly-ish smaller list of books that I want to reread. So this is my reread list for 2015. Hi everybody, it's Lydia here. I know it's already February and I haven't yet done this, but I just hadn't really even thought about it until the other day, and I suddenly thought, I keep mentioning books I want to reread this year, and it's getting really kind of ridiculous the amount I want to reread. So instead I've kind of cut it down to a small number. I say small, it's as small as I could get it, okay? The first book I want to reread this year is The Silmarillion by J.R.R. Tolkien. In fact, I want to reread the entire Middle-earth saga. That includes Silmarillion, The Hobbit, The Lord of the Rings, and the histories of Middle-earth, and all the other little books that are related to Middle-earth. I've been wanting to reread this whole saga for the last few years, but I've been holding off until the final Hobbit film was out and I'd seen it. Now I have, now it's all done, I'm finally going to reread them all, starting with this one, and I'm just so excited because I loved Middle-earth when I was younger, and I haven't had a proper good reread of them all for a long time, and I love this series so much, so I'm just so excited to get back into the world of Middle-earth. The next one I actually mentioned, I think, in my bookish resolutions for this year, and that is Shakespeare. This is just As You Like It, because I just picked a random one I had on my shelf. But I want to read and reread the entire Shakespeare collection this year. I have read a lot of them, which is why I say reread. I haven't read all of them, so there are a lot I haven't read that I am going to be reading for the first time, but there are equally a lot that I have read before, including As You Like It, which I studied in school and didn't really enjoy. So I'm looking forward to reading a lot of the ones that I have only known from studying them in school, and pre-Hamlet, which was the last Shakespeare play I studied in school. I hated every Shakespeare play I studied in school, so I want to reread them now that I have this new appreciation for the bard. Next up this year I want to reread Ash Wednesday by Ethan Hawke. There are a number of reasons I want to reread this, not least because I loved it when I read it first time round, but also I really want to make a video on it because I did love it first time round, and yet not that many people know about this book. I read them originally just because I think he's an interesting person. I like listening to his interviews because he's quite a fascinating person to listen to. So I read his books and I was kind of being very sort of on the fence about them because I thought, you know, a lot of actors write books and they turn out to be crap. I thought it was going to be like that, but I really loved both this and The Hottest State, which he also wrote. This was my favourite, which is why I want to reread it this year, so hopefully I will get around to it. Next book I want to reread is Frankenstein by Mary Shelley. Again, this is another book which I studied in school, and I think, again, as a result of that, I have kind of looked negatively on it, as it were. I didn't enjoy doing it in school, but it is the kind of book that I think, now that I'm a number of years older, I will enjoy more and be able to appreciate more. Also, I watched the Dr. Frankenstein MD web series that, what are they called? You know, the same people that did the Lizzie Bennet Diaries did, and I enjoyed it, but there was a lot of stuff I felt like there was a lot more in the book in a way, so I want to reread that to kind of remind myself really what happens in the actual story. Next I want to reread Harry Potter, the entire saga, because I haven't reread it in so long, and I have literally not reread it since the 7th book came out, and I just really want to reread them because, I mean, I read this books, The Philosopher's Stone and Chamber of Secrets, I must have read in double figures, but everything post then, maybe excluding Goblet of Fire because that is my favourite, I have only read once or twice, and so I can't remember a lot of the books, and because of the films, you know, your mind you start forgetting about things that happened in the books, so I really want to reread it because I do love Harry Potter and it will always have a special place in my heart, so I do want to remember and remind myself everything that happens in their books, so I will be reading that entire series this year. Next up is a book which I only read a few months ago, but it's S by J.J. Abrams and Doug Dorst. I want to reread this because there is so much more in this book that I feel I will get more out of when I read it a second, third, fourth, fifth time. I did a review on this, so you can click there if you want to watch it, but it's such a good book. It's so original, it's unlike any other book I've ever read, so I really recommend reading it if you haven't, but I will be rereading it soon. The next book I want to reread this year is The Wasp Factory by Ian Banks. I read this when I was in school, and it was a long time ago, and it was one of those books which I can't describe it to you because it was just really, oh my god, I've never read a book like this before, do I really want to read a book like this again, sort of thing. If you have a weak disposition, I would recommend not reading this book, because there's a lot of stuff that happens in this book which is quite disgusting, to put it nicely, but it is so well written, and I haven't read any more of Ian Banks's works, and I really want to because I loved this book so much, which I think probably says something about me, the fact that I love this book so much, because it's quite a disturbing book. But yeah, I loved it. I really want to reread it again. I haven't read it in so long, so I can't really remember very much about it, but I know it was one of those books that I didn't expect to like and then ended up loving, so I'm going to reread that this year. And finally, the final book that I want to reread this year, or at least that I have put in this list because there are so many, is Pride and Prejudice by Jane Austen. I'd first of all want to get a new copy of this because I hate this copy so much. So if anyone has any recommendations for nice copies of this book, please let me know, because I know there are numerous covers and I just want like a nice copy. I really hate this copy. It was like a £1 copy that I bought in a charity shop, which is why I got it. But and it's got pictures in, but I want a smaller copy and also one that's just generally got a nicer cover. Anyway, I don't want to reread it because of that. I want to reread it because I love it so much, and it's so funny. I just love this book. Yeah, there's no real reason for rereading it, so I just want to. That's it for my rereads list. I'm sure there are numerous others that will end up on that list by the end of the year. Probably The Bone Season, because I feel like that's going to be a book that I'm going to be rereading every year of my life. Anyway, that's it for today. I'll be back on Monday with another video, but until then I hope you have a good weekend, and bye!